I'm celebrating in a massive way this year. There was our 10th wedding anniversary last week and my second 40th birthday. My 1,000th couple getting married will be in about 6 weeks' time. And today, when this episode is published, marks my 16th anniversary as an authorised Commonwealth marriage celebrant, which is probably the longest time I've spent doing anything in my life. And I've learned a veritable shit ton along the way, which is awesome for me. But how does it help you? So today I promise to share with you 16 of the most valuable lessons I've had to learn the hard way to help you plan and enjoy more of your wedding in just a few minutes. Don't you fucking love the efficiency? Let's get stuck into it. Unbridely is a community of pro-wedding vendors who believe in freedom and integrity in weddings, giving you options, solutions, tips and tricks to create the experience and memories that you and your fiancé really want and deserve. Because we believe that weddings are a team sport. With how-tos, stories and interviews with recently married couples, we find out what went right and what they'd change if they could go back and do it all over again. I'm Camille and welcome to the Unbridely podcast. Thanks so much, gorgeous one, for joining me. 16 years, can't believe it, almost 1,000 weddings. It's prompted me to go back, to dig, to think about some of the weddings that really stand out in my mind and pull out 16 key lessons that will make a real difference for you now in the planning process, during your wedding, on the day, and hopefully down the track as well. So let's not fuck around. Lesson number 1 is personalization is key. And I know, if you've heard it once, you've heard it a million fucking times. Every couple is unique and so their wedding should be too. But let's take that cliche a little further, because I firmly believe any wedding worth doing is worth making yours. I'm going to say it again. Any wedding worth doing is worth making yours. We're trying to embrace what makes you and your relationship special and let that shine through in your day or days, in the case of a multi-day wedding celebration. When I think back to the most memorable celebrations I've seen and been a part of, it's the quirky takes on things that make me smile, that stand out, and that brought the most joy for everyone involved. Just like the travel-themed wedding of Emma and Tom up in the Barossa Valley. They had a French-themed ceremony in a stunning manicured garden, a brightly decorated, imagine flags and bunting in the gum trees, Moroccan afternoon tea, an Italian-inspired long table feast for dinner, complete with personalised individual glazed bowls filled with homemade tiramisu for dessert, an African safari camp for those who wanted to doss down overnight on their property, and a New York-style recovery breakfast with espresso and bagels for everyone who managed to rise and shine the next day. Even their invitations were boarding passes. For some couples, it would have felt like they were trying too hard. But for Emma and Tom, it was an incredible expression of their love of different places and cultures and a way for them to share their passions with the people they cared most about. I conducted their wedding ceremony back in 2009, and my husband and I still rave about their individual take on things to this day. Lesson number 2, the creation of your timeline, which is hopefully based in reality, changes everything. So a realistic and well-structured timeline for your wedding day can set the tone and literally determine how things pan out. Episodes 64 and 65 of the Unbridely podcast with Luke from Luke John Photography is just, it's your Bible. It's your go-to to learn and understand the ins and outs of creating a timeline that will really work for you. But in brief, the most common pitfalls of couples who are rushed all day long, miss out on spending time with each other and their guests, or don't get to actually enjoy their own wedding includes using someone else's timeline and just hoping it will work for them, not allowing for sufficient travel time for you and your key vendors to pack up, to drive, to park, to walk to the different getting ready, photo locations, ceremony and or reception venues. There's a lot there to consider and think about, but this is what needs to be built into your timeline. And also not understanding how long family and group photos take after the ceremony is a great opportunity to get everyone together because 9 times out of 10, everyone's there. In most cases, that's the best time to do your family and group photos. But you need to have a realistic grasp on how long it's going to take to do them and whether or not that time at the end of your ceremony is the best time of the day to do them. As far as the hire of your ceremony and or reception space and also the light in the sky, whether or not it's good for outdoor photos, whether or not you have to have them indoors. You really need to plan contingencies on those and block them out in your timeline. So head on back to episodes 64 and 65 and Luke will walk you through everything you need to know as far as creating a realistic wedding timeline. Lesson number 3 is all about adaptability and resilience. I was about to say weddings don't always go as planned, but that's a complete lie. Please hear me when I say weddings never go to plan. Now, I don't say this to freak you out, but to free you, release you from the idea that, because I had it too. I'm type A. I thought if I plan it well enough, if I make enough lists, spreadsheets, send enough emails, etc., it will all run smoothly. Believe me, please, weddings just don't go perfectly. None of them. But they can go exceptionally well if you're willing to bend a little, to compromise a bit, and to exhale every now and then and focus on what's important and leave behind what's not. When I think back to a time when flexibility saved the day, and to illustrate to you how couples can prepare to go with the flow, I keep coming back to Jacinta and Stephen's wedding day. During one of the most violent and sustained storms we've had here in South Australia in modern living memory. We had to change ceremony locations twice because each time it got rained and or flooded out. And I think the hardest part was that no one was fully prepared for the severity of the storm, so it took us all by surprise. And this is when experienced vendors with a let's work together, we can do anything attitude are worth their weight in gold. I've helped couples and other vendors overcome a lot of disasters over the years, but I don't think anything compares to the comradeship of that day. And the bonus to this is that having and cultivating resilience will not only help you now, but throughout your marriage too. Get used to it. Life happens. Lesson 4, communication can make or break your day. It's so important for a successful wedding to have clear communication between the couple getting married, the vendors, and their guests. In episode 79, 5 insider tips to get the best from your wedding vendors, I talk about the different ways that you can communicate, the different times when it's best to communicate with your wedding vendors to get the best out of them and to give them the tools to help you. And for your family and friends, I highly recommend the communication and organisation you can get by using a wedding website that has email notifications and planning tools, just like WedSites. You can listen to Isla's interview about why her platform, WedSites, WEDSITES, is helping not only engaged couples, but wedding planning pros around the world to stay organised with less stress. In episode 15, the 3 biggest wedding planning time sucks and how you can avoid them. Lesson number 5, less can be more. One thing I think we all learned during COVID was that simplicity, in particular in weddings, can often lead to a more intimate and memorable experience. So the minimalist weddings that we had to resort to during COVID, there were times when the government was only allowing marriages to take place with 5 people. That had the celebrant or officiant, the couple, and their 2 witnesses. And that was that. But also keeping in mind that comparison is the thief of joy. When you're really deep in social media, especially during your wedding planning, that perspective can absolutely warp what you think is normal or expected for a wedding. So don't let comparison steal your future memories. I can't help but also think about there was a study in 2014 called A Diamond is Forever that found a link between higher wedding expenses and shorter length marriages. So don't think for a moment that because you're spending less, you might not be having the best of everything, might not be inviting everyone that you want, that somehow your wedding is not worthy. Lesson number 6, while the weather is unpredictable, the preparation isn't. I cannot stress enough the importance of planning for all weather possibilities and having a backup plan for outdoor weddings. So case in point, Jacinta and Stephen's wedding in November 2022 with the floods and storm. But also, don't discount the heat. When it's 38 degrees in the shade and the older guests are feeling woozy, or even the first warm-ish day of spring, how it takes everyone by surprise. While it might only be 27 degrees and the couple thinks, well, everyone can wait until cocktail hour to get a drink, except no one's used to the warm yet. And people on a day when they're spending extra time to get ready, they're not focused on their hydration. Get them some water, get them some shade, a seat, look after them. Make sure that you look after the comfort of your guests. And it's, health concern too, no matter the weather. Number 7, the right vendors make a massive difference. So your choice of wedding vendors, wedding suppliers can set the tone for the planning part, for the wedding itself, and also for afterwards, because I'm sure you've heard about the urban myths of maybe a videographer who was hard to get in touch with, managed to rock up to the wedding, perhaps didn't perform great at the wedding, but then for weeks and weeks that turn into months, didn't produce the wedding video that they were paid for. That sort of bad taste in your mouth after your wedding day affects everything. It affects how you feel about your wedding day. In episode 70, How to Book the Best Wedding Vendors for Your Style, Budget and Personalities, I go into detail about how it might not be, for example, the most talented, awarded or in-demand videographer with the biggest social media following that happens to be best for you. Number 8, true emotional moments are unscripted. So some of the most memorable moments happen unexpectedly. You know this in everyday life. And so I want to encourage you to embrace these moments instead of worrying about perfection. If you're someone who's worried about crying, I don't want to have a photo when I'm crying, or what about my makeup if I cry? I won't be able to stop crying when I say my vows, when I walk down the aisle. This is something that I've been saying to my couples for 16 years now, but if you're not feeling something on your wedding day, we've got a problem, because you're making a lifelong commitment to someone. And I know that while not everyone marries for love, there is a sense of gravitas about that, if nothing else. If you're not feeling something, there is something wrong. And so if the way you're expressing that is by crying, so what? If you're someone who's standing in front of the mirror for a lot of time trying to practice your soft smile, so then, it highlights your cheekbones, removes the little turkey bit under your chin, you're not embracing the moment. And you try to do that on your wedding day, you're not embracing the moment, you're acting in a play. Do you know what one of the biggest regrets of newly married couples is? They'll say, I wish I had more memories from my wedding day. It was my favourite day. And one of the smartest ways I've seen couples do this is by making sure that they arrange a quick, foolproof, and really simple way to collect and share their guests' wedding photos. Because if you think about it, with an average wedding of, say, 100 guests, with every one of them taking 5 photos or videos, I mean, they'll take much more, of course, but I'm talking about the good ones. That's an opportunity for you to collect and download 500 extra photos and videos of their perspective on your wedding day. The stuff that happened that you didn't even get to see. But your barriers are overly complicated instructions or processes. Let's face it, if it takes too long, forces your guest into registering, if you've got to use a certain social media platform, or it's just a pain in the ass, and I'm looking at you, Dropbox and Google Drive, your family and friends just won't do it. And the tech fear and privacy concerns too, because no one wants to download yet another app that has a data breach. Never Miss Moments is an essential resource for busy soon-to-be weds just like you. Your unlimited photo and video gallery is held in a secure server for 12 months, and for your guests, it's a one-click QR code solution. There's no app to download, no need to register, and it's quick. Win-win. Your guests will be able to look back on and reminisce about your wedding, and your fam and friends' different perspectives of your wedding day is such an incredible lifelong gift for you too. The team at Never Miss Moments are obsessed with giving you the very best customer service, and I'm stoked to be able to pass on their special 10% off discount offer on their galleries when you go to nevermissmoments.com/unbridely. So that's never miss moments, all one word, .com/unbridely, which, in case you don't already know, UNBRIDELY. The discount will show up in your cart automatically. And of course, I'll pop the link in the show notes for you as well. Lesson number 9, involve your loved ones thoughtfully. So including your family and friends in meaningful ways can enhance not only your wedding, but your life. So I'd love you to really have a think about in what ways is it appropriate and relevant to include people in different aspects of your wedding. You don't have to go down the traditional or customary route. Dad doesn't have to walk you down the aisle, give you away, do a first dance. It doesn't have to go like that. If you want to include your mum, for example, or mother-in-law or stepmother or mother figure, have a listen to episode 63, 12 different ways to honour your mum in your wedding. The key is to not force anything. You need to be comfortable, they need to be comfortable, and whatever way you're planning anyone in your wedding planning, pre-events, wedding or post-events, needs to feel like it makes sense. So, for example, there's no point in asking your misfit brother to read a poem by Keats or Lord Byron if he's rough and tumble, tattooed up, a bikey type. It will seem forced and contrived. But if you were to ask him to escort you into your ceremony, maybe down the aisle, on his bike, have a tattoo station set up during cocktail hour, or ask him to plan the playlist in his own inimitable style, you honour your relationship and the person too. And that's what we're looking to achieve. Lesson number 10, music matters more than you think. The right music can set the mood for your entire day. And so choosing songs that reflect your personalities, your relationship, milestones, concerts that you've gone to together, or music that was popular when you first got together is going to carry more emotional weight for you. It's going to be more joyful for you. As much as I didn't love the song at the time, Happiness by Alexis Jordan was huge when I first met my husband, when we were going out. And although the song alone can give you cavities via saccharine sweet lyrics and poppy melody, 13 years later, it still makes me smile when I hear it. You want songs like that. but you're also looking for different moments in your wedding to have different feelings and different purposes. I loved it in episode 91 with DJ JD Silverthorne when he explained how Spotify could never replace a DJ because Living on a Prayer should not be played after Sweet Caroline, because it's hilarious and true. But he was saying that your guests aren't drunk enough for Living on a Prayer, but the algorithm in Spotify, quite often sort of links those two together. So if you're serious about having great music on your wedding day, and don't forget about the morning of as well as you're getting ready, have a listen to episode 91, No Awkward Garter Toss, Wedding Cake Cutting or Line Dancing with JD Silverthorne. And get your head around how great music at the right time can elevate your entire day. Lesson 11, keep your ceremony and speeches short and sweet. So a concise ceremony, one that doesn't waffle, and short speeches, so important. They make sure your guests stay awake, fucking important, engaged, and that the energy stays high. If you need any help or convincing, please head back to my interview with Beth Sherman from Authentically Funny Speeches. In episode 34, Beth talks about how no wedding speech needs to be longer than 5 minutes. Number 12, the power of a good rehearsal. So a great rehearsal can help you and your wedding party avoid confusion and stress on the wedding day. Now, this depends on what scale of wedding you're having. Literally how many people are going to be there. Are you having a wedding party at all? How many people are in there? And the formality of your wedding, how much of a stress head you are and your need to control everything. After almost 1,000 ceremonies, I can attest to the sense of excitement versus uncertainty and a feeling of anticipation versus worry that a great ceremony rehearsal, run well, run pretty quickly too, can provide to an engaged couple. If you've got a wedding party, it can help a lot. If you've got any immediate relatives who are freaking out, they won't be able to enjoy it until they know everything. It'll calm them down. If you're having kids or animals included, you'll be able to nut out some usually much needed contingency plans as well. It needn't take up a lot of time. There's no need to go through the ceremony script itself word for word. But if you know when you need it at the ceremony space, who's giving the cues, where you're standing, what the order for the processional is, that's when you enter, who's holding the microphone if you need one, and how to exit, then you're going to feel amazing, comfortable, and prepared. Lesson number 13 is to honour traditions if they mean something to you, but make them yours. Blending traditional elements with your own personal touch gives a modern twist to the customs that we know and sometimes love. Recently, someone reached out on a wedding Facebook group asking for different ways to honour their mum who had passed away and wasn't going to be there for their wedding. And there are dozens, possibly hundreds of different ways that this bride could honour her deceased mum. But again, it doesn't mean anything if it doesn't mean anything for her. So what I wrote back to her was that one of the best ways to work out what will mean the most to you is to work through your 5 senses: sight, touch, smell, hearing, and taste. So what is it when you look at it fondly reminds you of your mum? So it could be a photo of her, but it could also be her favourite necklace that you wear. It could be her wedding band. You could wear it or you could have it visible somewhere. Could you have a piece of her clothing sewn inside your outfit so you can see it? Maybe it's just under the bottom hem of your dress. When you think about touching, was she a big hugger? Would it mean something to have a big family hug at the end of the aisle as you arrive? Could your officiant or celebrant announce that to everyone? With smell, is it her perfume, the hand lotion that she used to wear, or her favourite flowers in your bouquet? So you can literally lift them up to your nose as you're walking down, take a big whiff and go, Mum's here. with the sense of hearing? Would you like to play her favourite song or maybe her favourite artist? It could be her football team's song. If it makes you smile, if it gives you great memories, then that would be a beautiful way to honour her. And with taste, you could toast her with her favourite drink. It could be a sweet treat during your ceremony that your celebrant or officiant could refer back to so everyone knows what the relevance is, what this means to you, and how you're honouring someone. Again, making it yours is everything. Lesson number 14, managing expectations. Man, families, other guests, they will always provide you, usually unsolicited advice about what you should be doing and why and when and how you're not doing things how they're usually done. So unless you're going to cave to every single person, every single expectation, custom, you need to set boundaries. You need to set realistic expectations. And so in episode 102, How to Keep the Peace, to question in private and to honour in private, I think that's an excellent place to start. And one of my favourite things to empower my couples with is to give them permission that they don't need to share everything with everyone. I know people will ask you, what song are you walking down the aisle to? What wedding cake flavour are you going to have? What colours are your bridesmaids going to wear? You actually don't have to tell them. I like to tell my couples to hold it in, to keep it as a surprise. And one of the best ways to do that is to say, actually, we've got it all in hand and we'd like to keep it a secret, a surprise for everyone. And that's that. No more. Change the topic, moving right along. Because at the end of the day, you get to decide how people treat you. Lesson number 15 is the importance of gratitude. It's so easy to get wrapped up in every little thing in your wedding. Take a moment as frequently as you can to express gratitude towards those people who are helping and who have helped to make your day special. A sincere thank you can leave a lasting positive impression and grease the wheels of progress as you go along. Make sure you thank each other too and remind each other of how grateful you are not only to be working on creating an incredible wedding celebration together, but more importantly, the start of your marriage. And finally, lesson number 16 is to enjoy the moment. Take in your day, be present, enjoy the celebration. When you're present and in the moment, it also helps you to save, to remember, to lock away for later the very best memories. Episode 72, How to Be Calm, Prepared, Present and Receptive for Your Wedding Ceremony, has lots of helpful tips in there to get you focused on what really matters so you can make the most of every moment. And so just to recap for you, the 16 vital things I've learned about weddings in 16 years are: 1, personalization is key. 2, the creation of your timeline, hopefully based in reality, changes everything. 3, adaptability and resilience are crucial. 4, great communication will make or break your day. 5, less can be more. Lesson 6, while the weather is unpredictable, preparing for it isn't. Lesson 7, the right vendors will make a massive difference to you. 8, emotional moments are unscripted. 9, involve your loved ones thoughtfully. Lesson number 10 is music matters more than you think. 11 is to keep your ceremony and speeches short and sweet. Lesson 12 is a great rehearsal can be powerful. 13 is to honour traditions but make them yours. 14 is to manage expectations now to save on conflict later. Number 15 is gratitude is important. And lesson number 16 is to enjoy the moment. Tell me your favourite lesson or let me know what you've learned in your time wedding planning on Instagram at Unbridely. And thanks for tuning in. I can't wait to share the interviews that I'm recording this week about lab-grown diamonds and how to entertain kids at your wedding. I've got some amazing guests with some excellent insights and advice just for you. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll catch you next week. That about wraps it up for this episode of the Unbridely podcast. For the links and resources we mentioned, please head to the show notes. And if you love the show, please review and subscribe on the podcast platform you're on now so you don't miss out on a single episode. Thanks so much for listening. And remember, weddings are a team sport. Catch you soon.